my dear friends, welcome to my channel. There are no dates on my videos, so when the message finds you, perhaps this is your message at that time. Today, I'm going to jump right into my topic. Is our destiny written in the stars or influenced by our personal numerology? In general, yes, the main directions of our lives are settled from birth. But there is room for a very comfortable percentage of free will. It is up to each and everyone to work with the energies offered by the universe or to ignore them. A careful scrutiny over the life of some important or famous characters can help us better understand the influence of esoteric data on our destiny. Today's intervention gives me the great pleasure and opportunity to talk about someone I always admired, Vivien Leigh, life path number 3, tarot card, being that Empress. Vivien Leigh, born Vivien Mary Hartley on the 5th of November 1913 and styled as Lady Olivier after 1947, was an English stage and film actress. Only England could have produced her. She was the perfect English rose, said style guru Diana Vreeland about Vivien Leigh. During her 30-year career, she played roles ranging from the heroines of Noel Coward and George Bernard Shaw comedies to classic Shakespearean characters such as Ophelia, Cleopatra, Juliet, and Lady Macbeth. Despite her fame as a screen actress, Leigh was primarily a stage performer. She won 2 Academy Awards for Best Actress for her iconic performances as Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, 1939, and Blanche Dubois in the film version of A Streetcar Named Desire, 1951, a role she had also played on stage in London West End in 1949. In the light of her personal numerology and astrology, and some tarot indications, I will try to understand how she shaped and projected her public persona, her personal and domestic life, as well as the ways in which she approached the craft of acting for stage and screen. Let's begin with some astrology elements. The sun sign was in Scorpio, and this made her courageous, creative, and daring, gave her intensity of thinking and feeling, as well as tremendous reserve energy. She was born under the second decanate of Scorpio, ruled by the psychic sign of Pisces, and she was very intuitive and inspired. Unfortunately, this position can induce a manic urge towards self-destruction, detail which had been noticed by many in her entourage. Mercury in Sagittarius, a strong position for this planet, explains her interest in long-distance trips, study of foreign languages and countries, and love for animals, especially cats. She was very active mentally and physically, extremely changeable, impulsive, independent, and rebellious. All these natural characteristics helped her crafting the characters she portrayed for the stage and screen. Venus in Libra is a character who will respond with refined affection to those who inspire it, loves knowledge, and is fond of art, music, and refined pleasures. They will prefer associates and friends who have some reputation in the field of art, journalism, and music. Their personality attracts people because of their innate desire for harmony, peace, and a well-ordered existence. This position of Venus promises many friends, popularity, and there is an excellent chance of gaining materially through others or your marriage. As a result of this influence, Vivien was known to be lively, witty, and charming, a prolific giver of thoughtful gifts to her friends and those she loved. Her archive is full of letters of instruction to buy opulent gifts and letters of thanks from those who received them. She took great care to make sure those around her knew she appreciated them, that they were loved. She was intelligent and sociable. She invested in productions of plays, spoke a number of European languages, was musically trained, and could dance well. She read voraciously and had done so since childhood. Leigh was a knowledgeable art collector and an accomplished interior decorator. Film scholar Holly Price was impressed with the way in which Vivien Leigh felt for interior design. Her collecting of paintings and antiques afforded the creation of sometimes lavish interiors which were almost theatrical in their composition. Mars in Cancer is hardworking, ambitious, courageous, and she was all of these. There is a warning here, though. Try to avoid the sudden outbursts, and unfortunately she was not capable to do that. Hence, a lot of tension sometimes with some movie directors. Saturn in Gemini explains that she had a built-in talent for deep intellectual achievements in writing. Also, a tendency to skip from one thing to another. Her letters, speeches, and notes indicate that she would have had a commanding, intelligent, and acerbically witty authorial voice as the writer of an autobiography, but she never wrote one. This is a bad aspect for lungs health. It can lead to tuberculosis and affected her very adversely in mature age. Uranus in Aquarius says that you can achieve satisfaction and success through association with other people. You like to be where the people are. You attract many friends because you have a naturally obliging, pleasing personality. Neptune in Cancer, ruling imagination and deep emotions, was a favorable aspect for her career. This position of Neptune can lead to very developed spiritual faculties, and she had a great intuition. Also, Neptune in Cancer endows with refined and delicate personality. She was often portrayed as the picture of an ethereal beauty who worked too hard and consequently suffered from nerves, but was also an intelligent woman with a lightning sense of humor. This position of Neptune is also responsible for anxiety, pessimism, and a highly agitated physical condition. In the light of numerology, she appears as life path number 3, the numbers from the birth date added together and reduced to one final digit. Life path 3 must learn how to express themselves through art and beauty, friends and happiness, must become invaluable through their ability to shed the light on dark places. They should seek the type of occupation that gives them a chance to express artistically through words in writing, acting, speaking, and singing. The element for this path is fire. Tarot Arcana for the life path numerology is the Empress, Major Arcana number 3. This is by far one of the best cards of Major Arcana, with influence on the general events of one's life. This is a card of progress, success, creativity, beauty, prosperity, great help. It is also a phenomenal card for love and fertility. Empress is telling you that you are under the protection of higher forces. This is the promise for a great destiny. For to be loved by thousands, millions of people, not only as an actress, but as a woman, is a blessed thing. Vivien Leigh ran her household with military precision, instructing secretaries, housekeepers, and maids in the management of her homes, clothes, jewelry, and artworks, as well as keeping up correspondence with friends and hundreds of fans. These aspects make me think of the Empress of the Tarot watching over her world with love and great skills. A true Lady Hamilton in real life just as much as on screen. Birth date number 5 made her adaptable, very imaginative, with a deep love for embellishments and trimmings. She had a fine mind and was very versatile. Her love for life and all sorts of experiences made her an excellent company. She was born under the name Vivien Mary Hartley. In terms of numerology, this name is indicative of life lesson number 6, the lesson of domestic harmony. Even under this name, her life would have been an accomplished one, providing her the tools to achieve success and personal growth. There would have been less interest in the artistic activities, though. Changing the name into Vivien Leigh was an inspired move, suggested to her by her agent. She took her husband's name, Leigh, and began to write her first name as Vivien with E instead of Vivien with A. By doing so, the artistic side was enhanced, life was lived with success, but there were new calming lessons on the way, such as number 1, individualization, development of strength and courage. In this sense, the influence of Scorpio, Mars in Cancer, and number 5 from birth date, vital, vibration, were strong allies for her. Karmic lesson number 2 and 6. 6 was there anyway. And here comes lesson number 2. Karmic lesson number 2 invites you to pay attention to detail, to cultivate patience. See how careful she was to choose her roles and to portray the characters. Also, under this karma, the native must learn that tact, diplomacy, and friendliness are the necessary things to accomplish her purpose. The urge to make up the karma produces a desire for collection, which explains her interest and skills in collecting antiques and paintings. -6 has much to learn about being a good wife or a good husband because he's ignorant of the adjustments of this relationship. One must learn the lessons of domesticity. She failed with her first husband. She was young and eager to be on stage, and marriage was a burden to her. Her second marriage to Olivier lasted longer, at least as long as their mutual passion for one another and their deep mutual passion for stage and acting lasted. Let's see some important relevant moments of her life. Vivien met Herbert Leigh Holman, known as Leigh Holman, a barrister 13 years her senior, in 1931. They married on the 20th of December 1932, and later she gave birth to a daughter, Suzanne. 1932 is a universal year 6, a positive vibration for marriage and domestic happiness, but for Vivien it was a personal year 4, which explains the limitations she felt during this period. She was prisoner in a comfortable cage when her heart was longing for the stage and limelight. She was cast in the play The Mask of Virtue, directed by Sidney Carroll in 1935, and received excellent reviews. Laurence Olivier saw Leigh in The Mask of Virtue, and a friendship developed after he congratulated her on her performance. Olivier and Leigh began an affair while acting as lovers in Fire Over England, 1937. During this period, Leigh read the Margaret Mitchell novel Gone with the Wind and instructed her American agent to recommend her to David Selznick, who was planning a film version. The Observer film critic C.A. Lejeune recalled a conversation of the same period in which Leigh stunned us all with the assertion that Olivier won't play Red Butler, but I shall play Scarlett O'Hara. Wait and see. The strong intuition of Scorpio element, combined with clairvoyant Neptune in Cancer and Moon in Aquarius. Now, what about that? During the readings and previews she had with director George Cukor, she managed to impress him. He praised Leigh's incredible wildness, and she secured the role of Scarlett soon after. Filming proved difficult for Leigh. Cukor was dismissed and replaced by Victor Fleming, with whom Leigh frequently quarreled. She and Olivia de Havilland secretly met with Cukor at night and on weekends for his advice about how they should play their parts. Leigh befriended Clark Gable, his wife Carol Lombard, and Olivia de Havilland, but she clashed with Leslie Howard, with whom she was required to play several emotional scenes. Vivien was sometimes required to work 7 days a week, often late into the night, which added to her distress, and she missed Olivier, who was working in New York City. In a letter to her husband, she declared, "How I hate film acting, hate, and never want to do another film again." Olivia de Havilland defended Leigh against claims of her manic behavior during the filming of Gone with the Wind. Vivien was impeccably professional, impeccably disciplined on Gone with the Wind. She had two great concerns: doing her best work in an extremely difficult role and being separated from Larry, Olivier, who was in New York. Gone with the Wind brought Vivien immediate attention and fame, but she was quoted as saying, "I'm not a film star, I'm an actress. Being a film star, just a film star, is such a false life, lived for fake values and for publicity. Actresses go on for a long time, and there are always marvelous parts to play." She was very exigent with herself, always under pressure, trying to give the best of her, and worked hard and with discipline, because people used to notice her beauty first and her talent next. The film won 10 Academy Awards, including a Best Actress award for Leigh, who also won a New York Film Critics Circle Award for Best Actress. On the 30th of August 1940, Olivier and Leigh were married in Santa Barbara, California. To be honest, 1937, the year when they became lovers, was a personal year 9 for Vivien, not a good vibration to start a love affair. But as a universal vibration, it was a year number 2, positive for love, romance, and marriage. 2 is a dual vibration, so there is room for surprises in a relationship. During her year working on Gone with the Wind, they sent each other cryptic romantic telegrams using pseudonyms and writing short but ardent messages. Their divorces and subsequent marriage were carefully staged with studio intervention, because divorce was still socially outlawed and only available to a minority, and adultery was frowned upon. So, the numerology for the date of marriage is Universal Year 5, Personal Year 3 for Vivien, Personal Day 5, Personal Month 2. These are very shifting vibrations. They were moving on quicksands with their marriage. Her love story with Olivier is a canvas of light and shadow, featuring deep mutual attraction and chemistry, passion, sincere admiration and support for one another, but also challenges. Both had to divorce their previous partners, both had artistic engagements, which kept them apart, and Vivien's repeated episodes of illness damaged this couple very much. The presence of the tower as the card for their marriage day numerology is not a surprise. This magnificent structure was meant to fall apart someday, but for more than 20 years, it had been a dream become reality for the two protagonists, an ideal vision of love surrounded by beauty and art. The Oliviers filmed The Hamilton Woman in 1941 with Olivier as Nelson and Leigh as Emma Hamilton. In 1944, she was diagnosed as having tuberculosis in her left lung and spent several weeks in hospital before appearing to have recovered. Let's remember the position of Saturn in Gemini. In addition to this, 1944 was Universal Year 9 and Personal Year 7 for Vivien. These vibrations are hard to bear. 7 brings in illness and isolation, and 9 can be very bad for nerves. Leigh was filming Caesar and Cleopatra in 1945 when she discovered she was pregnant, then had a miscarriage. Temporarily, she fell into a deep depression that hit the low point, with her falling to the floor, sobbing in an hysterical fit. This was the first of many major bipolar disorder breakdowns. Olivier later came to recognize the symptoms of an impending episode. Several days of hyperactivity, followed by a period of depression and an explosive breakdown, after which Leigh would have no memory of the event, but would be acutely embarrassed and remorseful. Neptune in Cancer can induce anxiety, pessimism, and agitation. The personal tarot card for Vivien at that time was the Strength, which doesn't surprise me. She had to gather all her courage and strength to get over this episode. Stage productions in which Vivien Leigh starred usually did extremely good box office, both in the UK and the US. She chose her parts with care, often taking roles she found technically challenging. She was constantly seeking for challenge. Number 5 has a strong influence in her numerology, being her birth date number and her ruling passion. 5 is energetic and provocative, and it requires a very strong health. Her illness created a hiatus in her career, as motherhood might have done for other actresses. In 1947, Olivier was knighted and Leigh accompanied him to Buckingham Palace for the investiture. She became Lady Olivier. After their divorce, according to the style granted to the divorced wife of a knight, she became known socially as Vivien Lady Olivier. This was a universal ear number 3, carrying a friendly vibration for arts, theatre, and artists in general, and a personal ear 1 for her, indicative of a new life cycle. This was a happy combination and a strong omen for success. Leigh's performance in A Streetcar Named Desire won glowing reviews, as well as a second Academy Award for Best Actress, a British Academy of Film and Television Arts BAFTA Award for Best British Actress, and a New York Film Critics Circle Award for Best Actress. Tennessee Williams commented that Leigh brought to the role everything that I intended and much that I had never dreamed of. Leigh herself had mixed feelings about her association with the character. In later years, she said that playing Blanche Dubois tipped me over into madness. In 1958, considering her marriage to be over, Leigh began a relationship with actor Jack Merivale. Universal ear 5, favorable to change, divorce, new beginnings, with a strong erotic vibe. Personal ear number 3, good to begin new friendships, but they will not be long-term. It was the case for this relationship. In 1960, she and Laurence Olivier divorced, and Olivier soon married actress Joan Plowright. Another difficult combination of vibrations. Universal ear 7, which can lead to sadness, pessimism, separation, isolation, and a personal ear 5 for Vivien, bringing in sudden change, divorce, or separation, followed by fast new possibilities in the department of love affairs. There was division among critics about whether or not Vivien Leigh could be called a great actress. She often chose to play in an emotional undertone, where others had preferred something more electric. In doing so, however, she impressed herself and her star quality on playgoers who never shared the critics' doubts. And at any time after 1945, her name alone could fill a theater. Vivien Leigh died on the 8th of July 1967, leaving behind an impressive artistic legacy. So, as you can see, there is a connection between our personal numerology or astrology and our lives. This type of topic, the personal chart in numerology and the personal analysis in numerology, so these topics are treated very seriously, and it takes time for a numerologist or an astrologer to read a personal chart. We could have gone like this for hours. But I still hope that you liked this material. I would like to read your comments on this. I am very curious. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This will help me a lot with my channel. I wish you all the very best. I say goodbye.